With the police coming under fire and the police department's policies are being scrutinized, we thought it was the perfect time for this movie called Bleeding Blue to be actually shown to the world.
To the world, yeah.
The producer of this movie is Kevin Jackson, and we're going to have a full-fledged conversation about race, about policing, and even about this movie, Bleeding Blue.
That's right.
Please welcome to the show, Kevin Jackson.
Kevin.
What's up, girls?
Oh my goodness, been a long time since we talked.
Yes.
But I know that you and some other people have been working on this film called Bleeding Blue.
Yes.
So I know you all are so excited about this movie, Bleeding Blue.
Yes.
We have the trailer.
We have it.
Take a look.
Take a look, y'all.
America's trigger-happy policing is back to the fore.
It has had an impact on, I believe, the criminal element, feeling that they now have the license to do what they want because the police are afraid to engage.
In all those months of nightly violent protests, the police didn't hurt anybody. Didn't hurt anybody.
I want to know, what was the inspiration behind this movie?
Yes.
Inspiration behind the movie. So back in 2018, the end of the year, I got asked by one of my benefactors, Kevin, is there something we can do to help the Black community with respect to policing? And I said, he goes, will you write a book? I said, I'm not writing any more books. I hate writing books. I need a ghostwriter. So I said, but I'll make a movie. And he goes, have you ever made a movie? I go, no. But he goes, well, what makes you think you can make a movie? I go, everything I've never done, I had to do it at some point, right?
Right.
So let me tell you, this movie, ladies, is absolutely spectacular. I would tell you this if it was not my film, if I saw it from somebody else. So we wanted to do something that was going to save the lives of police officers and Black folks, tell a real truth about policing in our community. Look, we as Black people, I'm talking about the other side, we lie to ourselves a lot. We try to pretend like we don't need cops and we want to tell people snitches get stitches. Well, guess what? I watch First 48. I watch Live PD. I watch these shows. But more importantly, I lived it. I got uncles that dealt drugs, fought dogs. My father is accused of killing somebody. My dad was in San Quentin prison. He was a stick-up man. And I could go on. So, game, no game, as we say in the vernacular. And I'm saying to Black folks, look, we know we need police officers. These people talking about defund the police officers, or might as well just say, hey, why don't we just go start really killing Black folks, LeBron? Because that's what it is. It is not cops killing us. Y'all probably saw that pastor. He was a fire and brimstone. It ain't us. It's killing people in the community. It ain't white, it ain't cops. He went off on Black folks in his church saying, look, guys, we're the ones who are responsible for this. I'm not afraid of stepping out of my house seeing a cop. I'm afraid of stepping out of my house seeing a young Black teen.
Right.
Okay, so let me ask you this here, Kevin. With everything that we've been through in our country for the past, since the pandemic started, and then we had the George Floyd incident, what happened with him.
Right.
Do you think police policies need to be changed?
So here's the way I look at this, ladies. There's been more scrutiny on police. They got citizen review boards. They got, internal affairs. They have community involvement with the citizens beyond citizens reviews. They have body cams. What more can you do? But let me tell you where we need a review. We need a review of how we raise our kids, how we treat each other in society. Let me tell you how the majority of these cases would have never seen the light of day. And I'm going to demonstrate it. You ready?
Okay.
You ready?
Here you go. Hook me up, cop. He comes to me, says, people ask me all the time, Kevin, you think you're going to survive? I go, how many encounters with police do you think I've had? And you know what I do every time? I cooperate. I don't, whether I'm wrong, I got arrested for identity theft, pulled over in a used to live next to Deion Sanders. I'm in a luxury car, leaving a luxury neighborhood. I get pulled over. I'm speeding, trying to take my oldest son to school when he was in like 5th grade. And he's like, Dad, we're late, we're late. I get pulled over by a cop. He runs my plates and he says, Miss Jackson, I got to place you under arrest. And I said, okay. I said, would you mind if we let me take my kid to school? Now I'm in a suit and everything. He says, no problem. He follows me to my kid's school. He says, let me call the state to make sure. He calls while we're on the way to take my kid to school, let my kid out. He says, Mr. Jackson, the state has the same thing. I got to put you under arrest. I said, no problem. He said, do you want me to, he goes, well, I can, do your car here, tow it. I go, if you don't mind, I'd rather just go to the station because we'll get this handled. He said, okay, will you follow me? He asked me 3 times would I follow him. I said, I'll tailgate you if you won't write me a ticket.
Okay.
So I follow this man to the police station where they arrest me, and it was identity theft. I was there for 2 hours, took my suit off. They put it in a bag. I mean, that was so wrinkled it looked like I slept in it because I had meetings that day. But when they finally let me out, I survived. And my attorney goes, hey, it's identity theft. Well, guess what the guy was wanted for? To stole my identity. Murder.
Oh,
wow.
Yes, but and that's why when he walked the 3rd time, he says, no, you are going to follow me. And he put his hand next to his gun. And I said, officer, if you won't write me a ticket, I'll tailgate you. You have no problem with me. I'd already demonstrated that I'm not a bad guy.
Right.
So look, I've had encounters. I've had stuff I could tell you guys, you ladies, we could spend an hour just on me talking about when the cops let me off.
So Kevin, it sounds like what you're talking about is that it's about cooperation, because what I see happening today when you see people being breaking the law and nothing being done to them, a lot of people feel like, well, it's okay to spit in a police officer's face. Yeah. It's okay to break into that business. It's okay to resist the police officer. And so but what they're failing to understand is that whenever you do that, then it causes for the police officer to react.
Absolutely.
And what they show is just one little snippet of a small encounter, but they don't show what happened before to get you to that one place.
Well, look at the film of the Atlanta guy. These cops were just over the top nice, and the dude finally ends up, just punching one of them in the face.
He beat him down.
He beat him down. But it's sad that we are in this state of affairs, and you guys are highlighting some of these things.
Let me ask you this here, Kevin. Okay, so I look at black men, right? I look at our police. Do you think that because of the way that our black men are being portrayed in media, in movies, on television, in rap songs, on the radio, that is the reason? Or do you feel like maybe some officers are afraid of black men? And that's why it's the roughing up. It's the throwing down on the ground. It's and it's not justifiable now.
Right.
But it seems like it's fear.
Right. What caused that officer to keep his knee in someone's?
No, look, that guy was that. I wouldn't use him as a litmus test. Yeah. But let me answer your question. Every time I get stopped, I tell this. You ask me, how do we solve the problem? Right. I tell black folks, don't take it personal. When a cop comes up to me and he's got an attitude, I don't go, well, it must be me. I'm doing something. I just cooperate, because you know what he's bringing? He's bringing all that other nonsense of all the other people that he's run into. And he's going, you know what? When I run into young blacks, they spit at me, they yell at me, they tell me F the cops, whatever. We ain't going to get that from me. I'm not going to be one to let him propagate that lie all the way through, because I respect his or her job, because I understand I don't want to do it, because I'm a hothead. I'm a trained martial artist. I will absolutely get in your grill. So I'm not going to be that guy. So I'm glad that there are people out there who are not hotheads and who are willing to take all that stuff, because I'm not. You never know what a cop has been through. Yeah. I was talking to when we made this film, we said, one told me, he says, Kevin, I had left a scene where a baby the head was decapitated. And I got to go take a traffic call, like a day later. And that's still blazing in my memory. Right. And somebody gave me grief about what day they're having because I'm pulling them over for speeding or whatever it was. I'm like, wow. So
But talking about the psyche part of it, you know, with the music that's being played today, and how a lot of the things that especially our young children are seeing out there and are hearing out there, do you think that also plays a part,
contributes
to the
way
Absolutely.
that
disrespect of the police officers and authority?
Yeah. So in the film, we do a whole section on entertainment, and I'm gonna tell you, it's a mind-blowing section. Because you think it's only Ice-T with Cop Killer or Ice Cube, you know, with F the Police or whatever. It's not. It is in heavy metal. It's not just black folks. It's a lot of people that have disdain for the police. But I do want to go back and finish answering, because you asked me something earlier about is all of this an influence, and what is it about? Let me tell you something. Ask the average black person, what do you feel when, because I got family in the hood. How do you feel when you see a group of teens, they have the same issue with it as the cops do? I know who's committing most of the crime. So I'll give you a perfect example. I was walking my dog in my neighborhood, and my neighborhood's in a gentrified area, but next to it, it's a bad neighborhood. So I'm on the outer shell of this thing, and I got my dog. I'm walking. There's 3 black dudes walking towards me, and they got on the what we call the uniform of the criminal, right? They got blue jeans, white beaters, and pants sagging. And immediately I put my dog on my left. I had I didn't have a gun, but I had a weapon in my side. I was actually walking in a karate gi because I had just taught a class. And I looked at all 3 of them like, I can identify you, number 1. And number 2, I looked at them like, I'm not to be played with. And you know what them brothers did? They walked across the street. Now, you could say, Kevin, you were racially profiling, whatever. You doggone skippy I was. Because I'm going to tell you, I want you to know I'm no easy play. You're not going to surprise me. You're not going to knock me out. I'm right here, and I got my dog, and we ready to take care of business. Now, I know people go, that's crazy. It's not crazy. That's the neighborhood I live in. Somebody gets shot once a week. I see flowers up, 3 or 4 blocks away where somebody got killed, and I'm not going to be your statistic.
But is that something the media has portrayed?
Right, that's what you're right. So with you being afraid of people that's all of our skin color,
right?
Why? Why are we afraid of our own black brothers and sisters?
Yes.
But is it because the way we are portrayed in the media as savages? And I say that to say this here. We just watched for about how many days all of the reaping havoc in our country.
That's weeks.
And we saw white left-leaning liberals starting it.
Oh, yeah.
But then all of a sudden, you saw black people following with the looting and breaking into stuff and throwing bricks out and breaking windows.
Right.
And then all the media depicted was what the black people were doing.
Right. But we made a video called Black Lives Matter with White Supervision. And I'm going to send it to you. Because what we showed was it was not blacks doing all this malfeasance, right? All this crazy stuff. It was a bunch of white kids handing black kids bricks, giving them Molotov cocktails and saying, here, little black guy, go catch a case. Go throw this thing and get sent up. Go throw this and get shot or get maced or get beat down by a cop. And then they drive off back to the suburbs. So there is some of that. But let's be real. The reason why I did what I did in my neighborhood is because I'm a plugged-in citizen. I know exactly what's happening in my neighborhood. I got my barbecue pit stolen off the back of my house before I even got a fence up. I have my car broken into 4 times. My neighbor down the street got their door kicked in the middle of the afternoon, and they held the wife and the husband hostage while they ransacked the house. And they were lucky. That's all that happened. So I'm not watching TV. It ain't Fox News saying, Kevin, here, be scared. It was actual things happening in my neighborhood. And so, yes,
your experience.
But
all right. So with you having that experience with a black man, then how do we reach the black community? Because is it really the police, or is it just? See, what I'm saying, Kevin, is there's a liberal ideology,
right,
that black people tend to follow. Even though they may have been, or we all may have been raised conservative.
Right.
We look at the hood and a liquor store on each corner. Every other corner, there's a Planned Parenthood wanting you to have an abortion. Drugs are dropped into the neighborhoods. You may look and there's a box of guns. You know, why is it that our Black brothers and some of our Black sisters gravitate to that, and all of us is in fear of each other? This is crazy.
Right.
But then
we feel like the system has been created to have us in fear of each other.
And then we're out. We're fighting they want us fight with the statues and take every statue down because that's the problem. The police is the problem. When really, maybe it's time for Black America to look at Black America.
Well, that's kind of, look, the movie, we go after bad cops, but we also talk about personal responsibility. So let me tell you what we're doing. And we got a project where we're going, because, you know, there's a 1619 project that says this is when America was formed versus 1776.
Right.
And our take on it is this. Go back to 1776, for the Revolutionary War, and look at the things that Black people have done. We went from from being slaves and treated as cattle. And in 2008, we elected a Black man to the presidency. And, you know, to this day, we still got Black people whining about what can be done. We have examples, successful examples at every level of society, not anecdotal. It isn't like, oh, there's an Arthur Ashe. There's lots of Black tennis players and golfers and certainly baseball and football and everything else. It isn't like the old days where Jackie Robinson was the only Black making it in baseball. Baseball has got many multimillionaire Blacks, football, etc. So why are we still belly aching? Let me tell you why. I'll give it to you in a real simple one word: pride. We don't have any more. When I was growing up, and I'm not going to tell you how old I am because I look young and sexy, but I'm older than I look.
Okay.
When I was growing up, you know, my grandmother would say things like, you know, you better be better. You know, it was always about pride of race. You better represent. That's why when a cop accosts me, I don't give him any grief. It isn't because I can't take him. I've been spent 40 years in the martial arts. There ain't a cop on the street there ain't many of them that I can't handle. But I don't do it. I don't talk back. It's because I respect what it means for the next guy. And see, we've lost that. We don't have that pride. We don't have that pride that says, you know what, I'm going to represent, I'm going to be a beacon for not only for the people that came before me and respect what they brought me to, I'm going to respect those that are going to travel beyond me. We don't do that anymore.
Right.
There's a lack of pride. So, let me give you a quick example. And we use this in the film. I tell people, I can tell you how great America is in 10.3 seconds. And let me tell you what I'm referencing. 1936, when a Black man who could not eat at the same places white people ate, he could not sleep in the same places where white people ate, he traveled to Berlin and he confronted a white guy who hated Black people, who thought that white people were superior. And you know what that Black man did in 10.3 seconds? He had every white American cheering for him to beat a German white dude on the track, and he did it. And his name was Jesse Owens. Now, that was the America that I knew, where we all said, you know what, we're going to put everything aside because this is about America. Guess what? So 50, 60, 70, 80 years later, you would think we would have learned our lesson from Jesse Owens, that we can put all this race stuff aside. We've evolved well beyond this, but we haven't because of the left. We have, you and I, the people that think like us, we've all evolved, but we have lost that. And now it's Black versus white. But guess what, ladies? You know this. Go to the grocery store, go to the theater, go to a ball game. Anybody flashing gang signs? Anybody saying, "God in the silk, get out of here. I don't like y'all," you know, whatever. When I go places, there are people that like me, people that don't. But when we're all wearing the red for the St. Louis Cardinals, which is my baseball team, everybody, if you got it on red, we're all cheering for each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, let's get back to the movie. The movie Bleeding Blue show parts where the police are so just so encroach upon everything that they're doing and so just entrenched in it. How do they digress? Like, how do they regress and get away from that? The psychological part of seeing a baby's head decapitated, seeing someone being killed or going up and seeing someone's death or even having to pull having to use their weapon,
on someone,
because they're human at the end of the day. I will never believe that police get up to harm people.
Right.
I do believe that they truly get up to protect and serve. But if a mistake happened, or if they have to do something, or if they see stuff that just horrifies them, how do they regress from that?
Oh my gosh, what a great question. And let me tell you, there's a couple of scenes I'm going to tell you. I don't want to give away a lot of the movie, but there's a scene where a white cop, he walks into a situation where he's a bunch of black kids, you know, and I almost can't talk about it. It's a horrible scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I saw that.
You just got to see it. And how you come out of that, I don't know. Another scene, a cop accidentally shoots somebody and he is devastated, you know, and you just got to see it. Oh, sorry, ladies.
You really, no, don't be sorry. You really have to see the movie because it's very compelling.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people got to understand that it's not just one-sided.
Right.
You have cops' lives, you have people lives, but at the end of the day, we're all human.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we all have those emotions. Mm-hmm. But, you know, with the movie, when do the movie come out? When can they see the movie? Where can they see the movie?
Yeah, so the online premiere is at bleedingbluemovie.com, and depending upon, you know, when they visit the website, if you know, they could have it just was a sign up originally, but it should be live and active at this point for them to go and sign up and actually view the film at bleedingbluemovie.com. I'm going to tell you, if you watch this movie, you will it'll change you. It'll change you. We interviewed dozens of cops, more than that, honestly, and they tell their stories. And this isn't us telling them. These are stories, and then we do reenactments. This will be the best documentary you've ever seen, and probably the most truthful thing about policing you've ever seen. And I really appreciate you guys, you know, even letting me come on to talk about it.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, we believe all lives matter. We believe blue lives matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And listen, when we need a cop, we want to be able to pick up the phone and call 911 and one come out to protect and serve.
That's right. Okay, so Kevin, you know, another thing that I noticed is that whenever you're talking about the ideology that's been implemented within our community, it appears that a lot of people deliberately do that because it feels like they're making money off of the problem.
Shoot,
and so it's like, as long as they're a problem, you got people that's at the top. A lot of them is really white liberals to me, and they make money off of the problem that they help create it.
Right.
And what they do is they skin from the top and leave people at the bottom still with the problem.
Crumbs, exactly. Well, there's an old saying, ladies, that if there's one lawyer in a town, he'll starve to death. But if there's two lawyers in a town, they will both feast. Mm-hmm. And that's essentially where we are. If there's nothing to fight about, and we're all really pursuing happiness the way we want, which is what we all want for one another, right? I want nothing but the best for you ladies and the people that support your work and all that. That is truly in my heart. But there are people out there who will, I mean, come on, how many times have we run into you're an Uncle Tom, Kevin, you're this, or, you know, you ladies get all kinds of other threats. I mean, I used to get them all the time till people figured out I can fight. But, you know, so it's just people that hate and they want to do this. I mean, I want you to understand that there are people that are in our community who will support Black Lives Matter, an overtly racist thing to say to somebody, and people are getting fired for saying all lives matter. Now, if I as a black person don't get down with Black Lives Matter, well, I'm a sellout. How is that? You know, so they make it, the idea of making money, are you kidding me? It is the filthy richest thing on the planet. Let me ask you this, ladies. How much money would all of us make if we got together and just said, man, we were at a meeting with a bunch of conservative white people, and then white people are disingenuous. I ain't never gonna vote Republican. Our bank accounts would be so flush, we would be speaking for $100,000 a pop, and our calendars would be full. We'd be doing massive media and the whole deal. I can make more money in a week in becoming a leftist than I can make in 10 years on this side of the aisle. People will call me a sellout? Are you kidding? The money's on that side of the equation because we have too much of a moral core.
Yeah.
To sell out.
It appears that black bodies are being used as a pawn for a white liberal agenda.
That's right.
Got it.
Absolutely. And Kevin, let me just say this here. When I see how white liberals go in and start it, and then black people follow it, let me say this. I'm looking at Chicago.
Right.
Who's going in there starting it and creating whatever this is against each other, to put them against each other? Like, you can't tell me that a lot of this stuff is not manufactured and not orchestrated. When I look at what just happened in our country 2 weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago, that stuff was planned. How do everybody know where to meet, when to meet, where to meet? You see what I'm saying? All of that is planned and organized. So it brings me to, when we talk about crime, when we talk about the statistics, especially in places like Chicago and Baltimore, if there is this gang rivalry, who's going in starting it? Because they already know they're going to be back and forth, and the killing is going to happen.
Well, it's kind of like, you know, the wars. You look at the wars around the world where one guy gets guns and then a gun dealer says, hey, your boy just bought some big guns. You better get yourself some. So it's kind of like the same thing. And what the white leftists, the elitists, they're the ones that are really starting this war. There's a comedian friend of mine. He says, he did a set, and it's called I'm So Glad You Said Something. And the joke of the set is, he said, white people, he goes, white people know how to get black people all charged up. He said, they'll come up to you, they'll be, hey, Billy, you know we got to work the next 6 Saturdays. I'm like, I ain't working the next 6 Saturdays. And the black man starts screaming and hollering and doing all this stuff. And then the white boss comes up and says, Billy, settle down, man, settle down. I ain't working the next 6 Saturdays. And then when the boss walks away, the white boy will come up and say, I'm so glad you said something. Now, he's the one that started. He whispered in his ear.
The one started, yes.
So that is exactly what we see with the Congressional Black Caucus. I call them the Congressional Black Circus Clowns.
Yeah.
And that is what we see with all these leftists. NAACP. Nancy Pelosi says, hey, Donald Trump is a racist. Oh, that's right. We got to remember he's a racist. Y'all come get your checks. And everybody starts getting their checks. And then next thing you know, Donald Trump is a racist. Are you kidding? How much does Donald Trump have to do to prove that he's not a racist? This is a man.
He don't have to. Let me tell you something. If he never do anything else, he's already done enough. He's already proved, because we were sitting at the cabinet table with him.
Yeah,
and I know. People don't like that. They want to say Black Lives Matter, but when it comes to any Black lives that work with this president make sure that Black lives are protected, to make sure Black lives are thriving and are prosperous, you have the left-leaning liberals, white and black left-leaning liberals, hate that, and then they write these hit pieces because they just don't like the fact that black people are up there sitting at the table trying to solve problems.
This. I want to say something about you two. You two have sat with the president, I mean, as much as any citizen ever would. Angela Stanton King, released from prison because of the First Step Act, goes and heads the President's Commission on criminal justice reform.
Yeah, that's right.
Now let's just put this in perspective. Let's be real. Real talk, right? Real talk.
Real talk.
Ask yourselves, would you three ladies have gotten that meeting with Barack Obama or another president?
No.
No.
No. And it has been alleged that when Obama used all of these black people to help him get elected, once he got in the White House, it has been alleged that was it. He didn't want to have anything.
He abandoned them.
Come up there to the White House.
And another thing, a racist is not going to do more for a black person than the black president.
That's right.
Okay,
I understand that. So we know what time it is.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Real talk for, we all know we don't need to go through the litany of things that Donald Trump has done to help black folks. I'll leave that for the red meat crowd. But here's what I can tell you. I know a racist when I see one. I see Joe Biden. I see Hillary Clinton. I see people that just use black people for their own little fodder, and then we'll point the finger of racism somewhere else.
The entire Democrat Party.
And if we're going to get rid of racism, if we're going to get rid of systemic racism, then we need to get rid of the Democrat Party that brought in KKK and the Jim Crow and wanted to keep slavery going and segregation.
Yeah, but worse than that, ladies. Look at what's happening today. It's funny. We always want to revert back to that. Look at the schools. Worst schools in black communities. Who runs it? Yeah. We talk about criminal justice reform. Show me where are blacks getting beat up in Bodunk, Tennessee? Or are they getting beat up in Cleveland or Baltimore, or Chicago or New York or LA? Who runs those cities?
That's right.
Democrats, and if it's not Democrats, it's black Democrats.
It's minorities.
So it's minorities.
How is systemic racism happening in minority-ran cities and states?
Because the system of racism is the Democratic Party, and we all know that. There you go.
There you go.
Thank you so much, Kevin, for being on with us.
Thank you.
You guys don't thank me. Let me thank you. I'm a big fan, as you know. I would marry both of you if I was already married, and we would move to Utah.
Listen to you. Thank you so much for being on the show. We really do appreciate it. And you all got to go see this movie, Bleeding Blue.
Thank you.
What a great conversation with Kevin Jackson.
Magnificent.
To enlighten us and let us know what we need to do and how we need to do it moving forward.
Yeah.
Make sure you go see the movie Bleeding Blue. The website is bleedingbluemovie.com.
Mm-hmm.
That's bleedingbluemovie.com. Listen, we believe all lives matter.
All lives.
And that includes blue lives.
That's right.
Until next time.
Bye-bye.
As a former police officer, I think that was the most amazing movie that depicted realities of police officers.
It was touching. I cried a couple times through the thing.
It's nice to see that somebody's taking the time, making the effort to create a documentary that shows that we are human and that we're not out there to hurt but to help.
Very powerful. I think every officer should see this.
It's an eye-opener.
A true representation of what is going on in America.
And even though it hurts, I'm chasing what I know is true. There's nothing that
it shows the other side of the story.
Really depicted the police in a light that needs to be seen.
It just reminds me every day how thin that blue line really is and how much these people really mean to all of us.
I'm a man on a mission. I'm a man on a mission. I don't need no permission. I'm a man on a mission.
911 emergency, what are you reporting?